Assalamu alaikum everyone. Kind of freestyling this episode. Gonna be talking about like loneliness, self-worth, things like that. Anyway, so recently I've been feeling kind of lonely, not gonna lie. I used to live in the city with my friends and we used to get coffee, used to do everything together, go to school together, whatever. And now after I moved, it's been like quite lonely, just school and back, something like that. And it's been kind of strange. It's been kind of different. And especially when you're Muslim and you're in like a state that's practically all Christian, and even in a school that like holds like Bible practices on Fridays, like it's a pretty Christian school. Going there and like wearing that job, like people, they judge you. They do. I mean, it's obvious they judge you. And it can honestly be hard because you can just tell by the way they look at you, like they don't like you. And you can tell by their words as well. And which is kind of, it becomes hard to make friends in a setting where a lot of people are very focused on each other's faults, each other's appearance, each other's, actions. And you're there trying to be the best you for the sake of God. One of the big things that I'm really, really passionate about is like self-development, talking about like Allah, things like that. I really love those conversations, but it can become hard sometimes, especially when you have like not a lot of Muslim people around you, because it's just not the same telling a non-Muslim like, hey man, like Allah's mercy is beyond imaginable. Like, you need to talk to somebody who's probably felt the same. You get what I'm trying to get at? I'm not saying that a non-Muslim is any less than a Muslim. No, I believe that we're all equal. We should all treat everyone with respect, kindness, all that. But there's certain topics that you can only talk about, with another Muslim friend. So sometimes it kind of becomes a situation where you're surrounded with people, but you still feel alone. And I feel like that is a scenario where you're surrounded with people who don't necessarily understand you. I know I feel like that. It happens. It really does. And I think the thing about, especially being in high school, you don't really get to choose who you're around. It's kind of just like, this is your class. You're in it. That's all. Cut chase. That's it. It can honestly sometimes be a little annoying, especially because, you know, in high school, I feel like a lot of people got this one set standard level where they're not a lot of people are interested in self development. They're interested in like what other people are doing, partying, whatever. So self development is kind of like a strange concept to them, and it kind of starts happening for everybody in like their senior year of high school. Like they're just, kind of transition to self development, like realizing like, oh, hold on, like I maybe don't like the person I am. I maybe don't like the person I'm becoming. Let's take an action. And a lot of times when you're Muslim and you come to that phase, you tend to start finding Allah, which is, what happened to me, of course. So I'm very passionate about talking about those types of things, but it becomes hard because, I don't have no one to say those things to. Now, being alone, you can view it in two ways. You can view it as the worst thing that could happen to you in your life, and you can view it as the best thing. Now, it's hard to make it the best thing. Even I struggle. But a few things that I really started doing is that I've done this for a few years now. Every single night when I lay down, I just talk to Allah. Like, I don't even care if anyone judges me. You just sit there in your bed and you literally like speak verbally, just talk. Because there's this feeling of saying it with your mouth and saying it directly instead of just shoving it in your heart and just being like, oh yeah, Allah knows. Yeah, Allah knows about your day. Allah knows what you did. But there's a different feeling about telling Allah about like, hey, I'm upset today. Or hey, I went to school today and I 100%, bombed that calculus test. Whatever. Like there's this a feeling of telling somebody. And when you tell these things to Allah, I'm not even gonna lie to you, you're gonna feel something. You're gonna feel like you're getting a response back. It's like so strange because in your heart, you're gonna get like this strange, really warm and like fuzzy feeling. I probably sound insane, but don't knock it till you try it, okay? Try it and then knock it. But I promise, like, you need to keep up with it for like a month or two, and it becomes it becomes like a part of your lifestyle, like doing it every single night. So I try to do that more often. Another thing I started doing recently is I created like this little jar thing, and of course I write like happy moments in it, because yes, you're lonely, but if you're lonely and you're living in peace and comfort, it is such a blessing. It is such a blessing to have a roof over your head, have a bed to sleep in, all those things. It's a blessing. So we shouldn't ever, undermine one blessing because, we're struggling in one aspect of life. So I have this little jar where I write like happy moments, and I write like things that made me happy that day. and I just write something. I put it in there every single day, and that forces me to reflect on my day, and it forces me to think about like, hey, what made me happy today? And that has really changed a lot of things for me. So I highly recommend trying that. I always hear people saying and talking about, like journaling and stuff like that. The problem with journaling is like I'm really inconsistent when it comes to journaling. I try to be consistent. I just can't ever do it. I'm just like maxed out all the time by the time I come home from school. So yeah. If you're not really into like big commitments and doing like journals and whatever, definitely get a jar, put a little piece of paper in it, and write about your day, write about something. It will help you so much. Another thing that I started doing recently that I found really beneficial is that you have to find something to reward yourself at the end of the week. You have to. You're not gonna, I'm telling you, dude, like, life is impossible without it, okay? You're gonna have to find something. It could be your favorite food. It could be going to your favorite place. It could be eating your favorite snack. It could be anything. You have got to keep that thing for like Friday evening, Friday night, Saturday. I don't know. Whenever you get off from school, work, whatever, go do that thing. Whether it's drawing, painting, whatever, do it. And after you reward yourself doing something you truly love, it makes waiting for it again a lot easier. I know some people, they're not fond of that idea, but it's something you need to find something that you really, really love that's going to keep you going throughout the week. So at the end of the week, you're like, yeah, I'm going to go home and, do my quote, quote, favorite thing, whatever it may be. I know for me, like, I love to eat, some good snacks, some good foods, whatever. Watch something, do what makes you happy. Because when you're constantly stuck in this cycle of I have to work, I have to work, I have to work, you're going to find life to become very, very depressing. Another thing that I started doing recently out of like loneliness is that I took this time to realize that like when Allah makes you alone and He makes you very lonely and you feel low on your self-worth, this is the time that you become the best spiritual person that you could be. This is the time you raise your iman, because these are the solid years of your life. There are kids who like spend their whole teenager life just like crowded up with people and parties and groups and whatever, and then by the time they turn old is like when they start their self-development. Be grateful you're lonely right now. I'm telling you, there is nothing wrong with starting self-development when you're old, but if you're alone, you're a teen, don't waste your whole time on your phone, on TikTok. Don't do it, because there is so much potential and so much value in your time right now. It's undescribable. What I try to do every single day is I try to find something new to learn, especially about Islam. Recently, I've been reading about prophet stories, peace be upon all of them, trying to get into them in more detail. Because we all know like the general basics of the prophet stories, but really getting into them, it's interesting. And it makes you realize like even the prophets, they were lonely. Like they had their few companions, their few close family members, but even they were lonely because a lot of people didn't believe in them. People were turned against them. And look at them now. We still look at them. We still, look up to them. We still think that they're great role models. Whatever they did, their actions, they were so valuable in their time that it lived on until today. That we read books about what they did. That we read books about, the seerah of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Like they were very, very, very productive and valuable with their time, which is something that we should try to do. Which is why I kind of tried to like start this whole podcast thing, because girl, I'm trying to be productive. But that's besides the point. Anyway, so try to learn some new Islamic knowledge. Set a goal, whatever it may be. It could be like I want to read even just one line of the English translation of the Quran. Read it, understand it, reflect on it. You are making the most out of your valuable teen years if you're lonely by doing, gaining Islamic knowledge. So whenever you tend to find yourself to be a lot more lonely, just write down a bunch of things that you think that you could be doing and then pray for that motivation. Let me tell you something, motivation, getting the ability to just get up and do what you need to do, that's a blessing. Because laziness is it's like a severe disease. Like once you start getting really lazy, it just keeps going and going and going. It doesn't stop. Trust me, I know. So always pray for the motivation to become a better person. Another thing I started focusing on a lot, especially when I became a lot more lonelier, is me. Like my characteristics. Like, am I an impatient person? Do I get angry easily? And I've started to notice that oh yeah, I'm not as patient as I should be. So one dua that I always make to Allah after my prayers is to grant me the spiritual gifts of the prophets. The gift that they had inside themselves of patience, of, gratitude, generosity, those good attributes. Pray for those attributes. Make a change in yourself. You'll see life to become a lot more better. Another thing that I do want to talk about is that when we become really lonely, we start to worry a lot about like our appearance, insecurities, things like that. I want to remind you one thing, that Allah took 4 oaths when making you, and He said that you were made in the best form. So really, it's just shaitan. He wants you to hate yourself. And don't ever let those thoughts get into you, because after you let, the negative thoughts come into you, you start feeding them, and it starts becoming a cycle. And it's just non-stop, like feeding in the negative thoughts that, oh, I'm ugly, I'm this, I'm that. You're not. Because Allah promised that He made you in the best form. So try to ignore any negative self-worth thoughts. And moreover, I always tell myself, and I'm going to finish off on this note, you do not own yourself to put a price on yourself, okay? You don't put a price on God's merchandise. So remember that. I always tell myself that. And inshallah, this little dump of just random thoughts was beneficial to somebody. I hope you all have a great day.